Welcome! In this video we will look at adding colour to part of the text in a rich text control on a form with the PowerBasic Windows Compiler. This is where we left our application at the end of the last video, with a rich text control which allowed us to highlight a URL on the screen and allow it to be clickable. What we want to do now is we want to add a bit more to this rich text control. If we go back to our source code, let's just tidy it up a bit so we can actually see everything. This is the text we're putting on our rich text box. Say for example we have an addition to our requirement where we want to put something after the URL, a piece of additional text. Like so. Now this would work perfectly well in the code we already have. We try running that now. We'll see the extra text folds around to the following line quite happily. However, our requirement is to highlight a piece of text additionally. Not make it clickable, but just highlight it for visibility purposes. How would we do that? Well, having actually set the text on screen, we'll want to create a generic function whose job it is to highlight this piece of text in a different colour. So we're going to create a new function and we're going to put this into our common library, which is our Windows controls library, and we will call this function FunSetRTColor. Now obviously we're going to have to pass some information to this function in order to get to do what we want. The first thing we'll probably want to send is the handle to the dialog on which the control sits. And additionally, we will want to add on the handle of the dialog itself. Now we'll need to tell it which piece of text to highlight, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass as a string the string we want the function to highlight on screen. Then in this case we want to make it a particular colour. Now we could quite happily pick one of the constant colours. These you can find quite happily from the built-in RGB colour equates, and you can pick basically from a list of a great many colours. So we'll stick with red for the moment. So what we have to do then is to create this new function. So what we'll do is we'll highlight the name, we will go into our common library and we will prepare a new function. So we'll need to take in some parameters. So that's us taking in our parameters. First of all, for the handle for the dialog, the handle for the rich text control, the piece of text in which we want to actually highlight, and the colour we wish to highlight it by. So how we're going to do this? Well, we'll need to set up a couple of user-defined types which have already been specified in the libraries we've already included. One for the character range, and one for the character format. We'll populate these shortly. Now, the rich text control contains a lot more text than the text we wish to highlight. So the first thing to do would be to get the actual text from that control. Now, we will store that in a local variable. And the easy way to do that is to use the control get text. So that will capture all of the text that's in the rich edit control at the moment. Now we wish to highlight a section of that So we'll need to work out where the section we want to highlight starts and ends. So we'll create a couple more variables to let us store that information, to store the start and the end. So first thing to do then is to get the start position. Now we're going to use one of the string commands we've mentioned in previous videos, the inString. Now what this inString is going to do is we will give it the full text that sits in the rich text control, and we will give it the piece of text we're looking for, and the return of this function will return the starting position in the full text string of where the string we're looking for actually begins. Now if this returns as 0, it means it has not found the piece of text we're looking for. So if we haven't found the piece of text we're looking for, there's no point in going any further with this. So we can test that. If long start equals 0, then we exit the function. Now, if we do get a value in long start, we must have found the string we're looking for. So first thing to do then is we're going to use the char range user-defined type we did earlier, and we're going to populate a couple of values in there. So the cpmin value inside that user-defined type is going to be the start position in the string, and the max is going to be the end position, which in this case is the start position plus the length of the piece of text we've actually passed in that we're looking for. So now we know where we're beginning and ending, we need to select that piece of text on the actual control. Now our mechanism for actually doing that is to use a control send command. To send a message to the dialog and to the rich text control. And what we're wanting to do in this case is we're wanting to use a function to select the piece of text so that we can then perform an operation on it. And we're going to use a var pointer to the user-defined type we'd set up earlier, the PD. Now, having selected the piece of text inside the rich text control, we now have to tell the control what colour we want that to be. And this is where the other user-defined type we used, the char format, comes into its own. Now what we're going to do here, first thing we set is the size of the structure we're actually going to be using, and then we're going to set the mask. This is the instruction we're going to use to tell the rich text control what we're actually going to be changing. In this case we're just going to be changing the colours, nothing else. And the final one is to tell which colour we're actually going to be using. Now we pass that in as long colour. So we're setting a new colour value. Now having prepared that particular user-defined type, our next task is then to send that back to the rich edit control in order to make the change. So another control send command. And we're using the set char format, and we'll just fold this around for visibility, and we're telling it we wish to apply this to the selection we have previously made, and we're passing the information again by var pointer to the CF structure. Now if we get this far, we will just set the function equal to true. So this particular function is taking in 4 parameters, one for the dialog, one for the rich edit control, one for the text which we wish to search within that rich edit control, and one for the color. We're then prepping 2 user-defined types for the information we want. We're getting the value that currently exists inside the rich edit control, the whole string. We're getting the starting position. If that starting position we cannot locate, then we exit the function, and by default the function is false. If the long start does exist, we're picking up the start and the end positions. We're sending a message to the control with a pointer to this PD structure. We're then setting the CF structure to be the size of the structure, tell it we're actually changing only the color, then set the color, and then send that structure back to the rich edit control to operate only on the selection we've previously made with that information. Now, assuming we haven't made any syntactical errors, this should compile quite cleanly, which it does. So let's try running and see what we get. Well, we're close. We appear to be starting the highlighting of the text 1 character later than normal, but the text is highlighting. So we were searching for phone extension 1234 and it's picked up 1 after. Now I think if that's the case, then we probably need an offset. Sometimes you have to be pragmatic when you actually look at this. I mean, ideally they should have worked, but obviously its method of counting characters is slightly different from our method of counting characters. So what we'll do is we will pass another value called a long offset, just to offset it by the character 2 we actually need. Now let's set the character offset to be equal to 1. And we will create a new variable. And in our control, we'll add a new parameter. And down here, what we will do is we will subtract our offset. So this should start at the correct character now. And we've run. And there we go. It has indeed highlighted the entire piece of text. Now, just to prove this will work with other values within it, let's highlight the word details as well, because it only appears once. So what we'll do is we'll copy that line of code, and we are looking for the word details. So we do this, and we'll change this to some other color. Let's try yellow. That is very bright. Let's try something other than yellow. What have we got that's not quite so bright? Let's pick dark orange. That's a bit more readable. Or we could go for one of the greens. Let's try forest green. Right, let's try that now. There we go. So, on our rich text control, we have actually 3 areas of the rich text control which we've done changes. We have put the URL in, we've highlighted in red our selected text, and we've proved that we can highlight a second piece of text in green. So, as I said in the last video, there are many more things we can do with rich edit controls, but I think we'll finish up there today. Thank you for watching.